Today's podcast is brought to you by The Juke Gaming, Buy, Sell, Trade, and Repair, and The Ripper the Clown Show on YouTube, an unpredictable comic book character come to life.
And we got some ugly Stankosaurus who's gonna take 9 inches of black dick so far up her ass she won't know what hit her.
Today's topic is shoot interviews. Now, a shoot interview is where a wrestler, manager, somebody in the business goes out on social media, YouTube mostly,
Or a shoot interview show.
yes, and they talk about things that are not part of their gimmick. They say their grievances, their bad experiences, and they pull no punches.
I've seen everybody from Hardcore Holly to Perry Saturn to Nash to Sonny to everybody. It seems everybody who's out of the business, either bitter, retired, just angry, somebody needs money for drugs,
Right.
will do a shoot interview. There are countless shoot interview companies out there like No Kayfabe, High Spots,
Yep.
places like that where they will pretty much hire these old wrestlers and give them cocaine or give them whatever. They just want controversy, so they'll give these wrestlers a lot of money to just air their grievances.
Yeah. One of the funniest ones I've seen, which it was a shoot interview, but in a way it was actually a very interesting insight into the man's career himself. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, that was, yeah, his 3-hour interview on...
He really didn't say anything negative.
Well, you were going to ask, does shoot interviews hurt a career?
Yeah.
And for me, it depends on where their career is at. If they're retired, then who cares, you know?
Yeah.
But if you're fresh out of the business like AJ Styles, or not fresh out of the business, but out of a company like he was, and he did a shoot interview, you might want to watch what you say, because things will change just like that.
Yeah, you can burn some bridges.
Who knows? TNA, and this probably won't happen, could one day have a flip and be excellent again.
Mm-hmm.
And if he says something that he regrets, they might not want him back.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy like Bam Bam Bigelow, who was at the end of his career, like Kevin Nash, he don't care what he
No,
says. He's
no one
done.
gives a shit. Like the Bam Bam one was kind of funny because he told a story about Bret Hart.
Oh, farting on him.
Yes. He, at the end of the match, I believe it was the King of the Ring 94, and he got him into a flip to pinning combination. Bret had been drinking a lot of protein shakes that day and farted in Bam Bam's face.
I love listening to shoot interviews because you get to hear all these stories from the road that usually you would only hear at the Hall of Fame ceremonies, but now with the advent of YouTube, everybody's going on some radio show or something. New Jack is notorious
Oh, good
for shoot
Lord.
interviews.
Whew.
He's got a lot to say.
I think that's what he makes money off of now.
He does. That's what I was about to say. When you retire from the business and you can't get out of it, one thing to do is go around doing shoot interviews. And New Jack makes a ton of money doing
yes.
shoots. Well, there's just, like, the people who run these sites, they're huge marks, and they do it for other fans. They get these guys on the show, and they ask, like, Hardcore Holly, like, was Crash really that messed up on drugs? Or, you know, like, all this stuff that you've always wanted to know.
Oh, yeah, they drag stuff out of him, you know. They're like, hey, we'll pay you $500 to come out there and talk shit about
They
somebody.
exploit these guys. They ask D'Lo Brown, like, did you really mean to do that to draws and all this stuff?
Yeah.
And it's like a car wreck, really, they shoot interviews. You don't really want to watch them because you learn a lot about the guys that you used to love on TV.
One that really upset me was they shoot interview with Kevin Nash and X-Pac. And this was before X-Pac cleaned up. Basically, they were talking about how Kevin Nash flat out told him, he's like, buddy, I'm afraid for your life. He says, you're my friend. I love you. You gotta quit. And he called him out right there on the air. And Pac looked at him. He says, Big Kev, I'm sorry, man. And he says, it's all right. He says, I know how hard it is. He said, but I don't want to get a phone call saying you died. And the interviewer said, you know, hey, do you want to give you guys a moment? This is kind of a personal thing to do. And X-Pac was like, nah, man. He says, everybody knows I do drugs. He says, there's no hiding it. He says, I'm a terrible person. And Kevin Nash was like, nah, man. He says, you just made bad decision. That doesn't make you a bad person. It upset me because these are two guys that I grew up watching, and for me to see them as real people, it throws you through a loop.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
Get ready to leave at a moment's notice to go to war. Wrestle War 91.
We've declared war!
Enter the World Championship Wrestling Sweepstakes, and you could become the official commander of Wrestle War 91.
This mission depends on you.
You could win a trip for 3 to Wrestle War 91, or one of 5 Toshiba VCRs, or an official WCW camouflage cap.
Dinner today? That's an order.
To enter, send your name, address, age, and phone number on a piece of paper to Wrestle War 91 Sweepstakes. Post Office Box 28955, Atlanta, Georgia, 30358. Wrestle War 91. Warriors in the desert, son. Sound off 1, 2. Enter the sweepstakes now. And if you don't win the trip, you can still see it live on pay-per-view February 24th.
Dismissed!
When over 10,000 pounds of beef comes roaring at you, it can mean only one thing. The Wrestling Album with Hulk Hogan's theme, A Real American, Hillbilly Jim's
Don't go messing with a country boy. Don't mess with a country boy.
plus performances by Roddy Piper, Nikolai Volkov, Captain Lou, Jimmy Hart, Mean Gene, and the Junkyard Dog. Grab a copy of the Wrestling Album on Epic Records and Tapes, available at your record store.
Now with the internet, they haven't ruined the business, but they sure have spoiled it. All these people coming out and all these stories and exposing of all these things. There might have been a lot of bad shit that happened in the past with wrestling and backstage and the politics, but I don't want to know those. I don't want to know that this guy was pilled up half his career. And I know it from just being in the level of the business we were for a little bit. There is a lot of shadiness and bad people, but I never wanted to know that. I don't want to know that Sandman would walk in on Sunny giving Sabu blowjobs with Chris Candido in the other room.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of things that just shouldn't be said.
That was never any of my business.
No. Like, I didn't need to know people's marital problems. Like, I didn't find it necessarily that years later that Savage would basically come out and blame Hogan for him and Elizabeth splitting up. That's none of our business. We don't need to know the fact that, like, you blamed Hogan for your marriage problems. I watched a shoot interview years ago. When I first seen the title, I'm like, okay, this could be interesting. They did a shoot interview with Chris Masters. This was right before they brought him back for the second time. And it was totally unnecessary because the guy doing the interview was trying so hard to get him to talk shit. He had nothing bad to say about anybody.
And that's what they do.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, Vince is a good guy. He gave me many opportunities.
Yeah.
Oh, so he never screwed you over? No.
Yeah, they'll be
Well,
like...
then why were you fired? I made some bad decisions.
Yeah, Chris Masters, your thoughts on Chavo Guerrero? I saw him a couple times, passed him a couple times in the back, shook his hand. Okay, well, your thoughts on this guy?
Yeah.
You know, they just want drama.
Yeah.
I think the shoot interviewers are the paparazzi of the wrestling business.
They are. They stir the pot.
Yeah, they exploit them. They sometimes ruin careers.
I don't want to sit there and listen to 2 hours of somebody whining because, well, I got fired because I drank too much.
Well,
you drank too much.
You
That's
drink
your
too much,
fault.
yeah. Well, it's just shock content. We could easily do it if we had $3,000 amount of cocaine. We can get somebody like Justin Credible to come on and tell him. I watched a shoot interview with Justin Credible. This is before he cleaned up, and right now he has a show called Wrestling 101.
Okay.
Very good show. I'm glad he cleaned up. But before he was in the shoot interview, he was so hopped up. He was like, you could tell, he was just hyper. And every 10 minutes he would go, all right, we're going to go take a smoke break. Quote, smoke break.
Nice.
You know, they were going to go shoot up or something.
Right.
Every 10 minutes it was just like, all right, we're going to take another break. It's, oh yeah, let's go. I'm like, this is sad. And they just get these train wrecks like Balls Mahoney.
Balls Mahoney, nothing against the guy. He did a hell of a lot in ECW. But for the love of God, I don't want to see that guy anymore.
Even Sandman looks like he's been doing meth. I don't know if he is, but his face looks like he is.
The sad thing is like Sandman was such a good family man.
Yeah.
DDP may not be able to save your ass like he did then.
That's why I give people like Rob Van Dam credit. Rob Van Dam stays flexible and he smokes a lot of pot. If many people know, me and Captain Red of the show now are notorious pot smokers. Pot And yoga will keep you alive for many years. They actually extend your life.
I love yogurt.
Anybody out there, have you tried that new DDP yogurt? I try it every day. I love it.
It comes in 3 different flavors. It comes in Diamond Cutter Strawberry,
Yeah.
Bang Blueberry,
Or I just broke my ribs for the 9th time. Banana. Shoot interviews, they're all saying stuff that's supposed to be in the wrestling confidentiality. You know?
It's kind of like an unwritten rule of
Yeah.
it's a brotherhood, so
What happens on the road stays on the road.
yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.